click Add Collection, and then just type the name, whatever you want to name your collection. I want to name mine Notes here. Click Next. And the actual document ID is going to be automatically generated whenever we post a note to this database, but I'll just give you an example of what the schema is going to look like. It's going to have a creation date, and that's going to not be a string, it's going to be a timestamp. I'm just going to enter some data in here and save that. Another field that's going to be in there is store key. This is going to be that 5-digit or 5-character key. Let's just do ASDFA, add that. And the next thing it's going to have in there is just the text, the actual note. So this is my note. So whenever we post data to this notes database, it's going to have this uniquely identified document ID and then these 3 fields in here. So now that that database is set up, let's just go back to our functions, and we're going to load the Google Firestore functions. Once again, we're going to do that through the Storage Explorer. So I'm going to go to my file share. It's in the site www.root, and then I'm just going to click and drag my files in there. So it's delete from queue Google, generate key and store no Google, retrieve no Google, and send expire to queue Google. So drag those and drop them in there. Once that's done uploading, I'm just going to refresh this in the portal, or the Azure portal here. And you can see that they've populated here. So let's start with the generate key and store no Google. Essentially, all of these will work similar to the Azure functions, the ones that pull from the table storage, but instead of the endpoint being the table storage API, we're using the Google Firestore API. Another difference is that Firestore doesn't have a native binding for Azure, so instead of having that binding, we just do an additional post to the Google Firestore API. To set up the endpoints, you can see here we have these application variables, db host and store text path. That actually should be store no path too. So let me go ahead and save that. Let me open up the link to the actual Google Firebase reference. And this is still in beta too, so when you are actually testing this, this may have changed. You'll just have to take a look at that. But the actual endpoint that we're going to use to interact with the Firestore database is right here. So this is the actual host, and then we've got the actual path here. For your project ID, it's going to be whatever right here is. Mine was called store my note. And so let's go ahead and store those variables here. So once again, store my note, go to the application settings, and I'm going to add those settings. So there's db host. That was firestore.googleapis.com. Paste that in there. And then the next one that we're going to need is store note path. This is the endpoint that we're going to use to actually store the note. And that one is here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in here. I am going to need to add my project ID, which is store my note. And then I'm also going to, I named that database notes. So that's that. I am going to, just for the sake of time, add the other application variables in here for the other ones too, that we're going to use for the other functions, which is return note path. Oops. And that endpoint is going to be similar, but instead of this, we do this. And the last one is the delete note path. That one's just going to be v1 beta 1. So these are all the actual endpoints we're going to need for all the Google functions to run. So I'm going to save that, and we are going to give these functions a try.